Hey, what is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with a sneak peek and preview here of the Escape from KYLN event. What does this event entail, as well as all the updates that have been, circulated as of late in these last couple of blog posts. In addition to that, we don't officially have confirmation yet of what the levels or cells are like, but this video is really hoping to get you guys up to speed, especially those of you that are newer to the game, that are returning to the game or even transitioning to the end game. This is a super exciting game mode that I want to share my thoughts on, as well as what can likely change now that we have some information here to work with. So guys, first and foremost, just a little bit of background here. The Escape from KYLN is a Avengers Tower-esque sort of event, right? So this is the one where you can battle through different cells. Now, what is different about this specific event is the fact that you can only utilize 3 characters in your team as a max. So placement is very important, but each cell has a specific trait requirement. And as well, it does look like previously anyways, only players level 65 and above can participate. Maybe they've lowered that going forward. Who knows? We don't have that confirmation just yet. But having said that, now that many of the accounts are account boosted, taking the time right now to boost your account, because we've been seeing a lot of players being able to get to level 40, level 50 in one day with the boosted account. So I don't think level 65 is going to be a difficult task to hit up in a week or so, until that's probably when the event's coming, right? Likely sometime, I would say, this coming patch, but as well obviously in the coming weeks here. So we still have some really ample time to prepare. Now that I've gone over kind of what this event is, there are some rules specifically that we've seen in the past, just as a heads up here. So there's no cooldown period for characters after a battle, which means yes, you can actually use the same team in consecutive cell trait requirements, so as long as they did not fall in battle. Health and abilities persist between the battles for players and enemies. So that means basically that you do want to be keeping, in mind the energy that you're using, your abilities with each round ending, because it is going to carry forward into the next level if you decide to use them again in a later on battle. Characters can't be healed between that battle, so that's why it's important. Make sure that you have them either at good cooldown levels or HP levels before you finish and complete the battle. Otherwise, you can back out and you can actually reset that, which is very similar to what we've seen with the Scourge and Legendary Trial events. And you will remain in the same cell after losing a battle. So nice thing is that unlike Source Ally, you don't actually drop down, so as long as you're kind of keeping this strategy going forward. Restarting a run, it's going to drop you down to floor 1 though. So restarting would completely reset your progress, so just be mindful of that. But also it gives you the opportunity to heal your characters up, and you can basically reset it. It's very, very similar to the Scourge and Legendary Trial, so obviously you can go higher and higher if you want to push higher points. And at the end of the day, we always want to be maximizing the rewards that are on hand, because they're really, really juicy, and we'll be touching on that briefly here. But finally, completing each cell is going to earn you a milestone reward, which is ultimately what we care about. Not just that it's a fun game mode, but at the same time, there's gonna be theory crafting involved, and as well some pretty generous rewards, especially what we've seen last time as well. But yeah, something to be mindful of here, guys, is that last time anyways, we actually got to see the opportunity here of a 3 diamond gambit getting rewarded, in addition to 5 million gold training materials, and as well as gear tier 18 mini unique. So I mean, they definitely do not scoff over what they can give out. Now, having said that, level 40 here also required some pretty wide rosters, bringing up some tunes to gear tier 18 that may or may not have been a little too early for many folks to upgrade. I personally, I think I got to floor 32 or 33 because that was as highly built as my my Pegasus team was, and I wasn't willing to invest in more during that time just because I was trying to budget as well. Now, my roster is in a much deeper state than it was because this was a few months ago, so we are going to definitely be more prepared. Having said that, I don't expect this to be the same kind of event, because obviously they want to shake things up and allow for some changes, so that way, engaged players, engaged endgame, are getting a bit of that creativity and having to figure out and solve these puzzles at hand. So there's gold, there's training materials, gear tier 16, 17 mats, and what I suspect is going to be new for this KYLN, and why we should be paying attention, is that this likely will be the first time that they're actually going to give out some more crimson gear, in addition to perhaps even some more diamonds. We saw them handily giving out these 3 diamond gambits, so we know they're not afraid of giving a very powerful character, especially with Gambit being part of a very, very good team in the game, and they're 100% in the meta. Dark Dimension value and so forth, just all across the board. It's a really good award that they've awarded, so hopefully they can keep this trend going forward. Now, something to be mindful of from the KYLN update, and I made a video on this yesterday as well, but I just want to further clarify this and circulate this even more, is that, Community Manager Archangel confirmed that there was a couple of misleading informational blog posts that were circulated, and we want to clarify that the Undying team as well as Spider Society are recommended for Escape from KYLN, but they're not required. So what that means is that there is going to be some different options available. Obviously, they're noting here that they're going to be better and probably run a little bit more efficient for these cells, but just be mindful of the fact that you do not need to invest in these teams, because I feel like that misleading information from a couple weeks back has, obviously encouraged folks to bring up their tunes where they may or may not have wanted to use those resources. So just something to be mindful of here. We don't really know until the time comes. And also, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because I do have a feeling that this is going to be slotted in to more of that Endgame wider roster quality to push higher, because they want to create incentive. They want folks to be spending, and at the end of the day, investing in these characters that they're recommending, not requiring. So something to be mindful of here as well, guys. We're going to be quickly going through all the cells that we saw previously, so that way you can get a snapshot here of what was kind of expected. We're hoping the trend is going to be similar, but as well, I'm going to be also highlighting what I think is going to likely change, because it can be quite obvious here. So cells 1 to 19, to be honest, it was pretty smooth. I don't think this is going to change much, if any, but as you can see, the first 4 cells didn't have any restriction. That's probably going to be the same. Then next up, they followed up with the requirement here of cells 5 to 7 as any kind of Guardian or Infinity Watch character. I also feel like this is going to be the same, and even if it's swapped around, as you can see, the enemy's TCP was only 35k each, so it's very low level. If you're level 65, you're not going to have an issue whatsoever clearing this. Avengers is next. As you can see, they used a pretty broad tag there. These Avenger cells were only 35 to 83k per enemy. Not bad whatsoever. Cell 17 to 19 is where it started kind of picking up a little bit, but as you can see here, obviously we had that mixture here of Global Skill, City Mystic, and then finally even as Guardians at the 155k TCP enemies. So overall, not too bad, even if you're level 65, guys. So I honestly don't think this is changing much. If this does change, it's gonna be another broad tag. Like instead of Avenger, it might be like Spider-Verse. Instead of like Asgardian, it might be like Wakandan, aspects like that. But for sure, many people will not have issues with these first 19 cells. That's really the point I'm trying to drive home. Now, having said that, I think this is where it's going to start kind of escalating from cells 20 to 29, because this is going to be kind of the big separator of folks that have some more quality type of rosters that are built taller, that have some stronger built up team synergies, and that's what we're going to be needing to be mindful of. I also don't see many of these staying, just because quite a few of them are quite broad here, which I think is going to lead to them obviously having to adapt and change things up. So cells 20 and 22 required Spider-Verse tech or Spider-Verse skill at gear tier 15. So bare minimum, it's gonna be gear tier 15 already, which means they require you to start investing in them at a minimum level. That's why I feel like these ones are going to change. I can't see this being the same. Global Mystic is a really, really broad tag. I also can't see it being the same because it's just too easy. As you can see, it carried over to actually 3 cells. So for sure, I see this one changing, even with Villain Mutants, and especially the Herald Tech tag at gear tier 16 for both of these ones. Because they specifically niched into certain characters or teams, that's why I do foresee each and every one of them changing. So for the time being, guys, if you guys are watching this video right now to prepare, do not be pushing your characters up. Although many of them are meta right now, if you're trying to build for this event, these ones will likely change in my honest opinion. And again, we'll get some better information next week, but this is just in case you guys are trying to plan ahead and trying to start investing here. You're not going to be losing value by building these teams up because they're quite diverse in the game. You'll likely see their value being utilized in other legendary trials or Scourge Horseman events, but at the end of the day, I don't think these are going to stay put, just because this is what's separated from folks that actually had invested rosters. Now that I kind of give you the pre-ramble there in regards to those first 29 cells, cells 30 and 40 are 100% changing. There's no way they're going to be keeping these same ones just because of how exclusive they were. They likely will make it more niched into specific characters and team synergy. So again, this is why I didn't like the Cell 29, because it was already carrying over here to Cell 30 and 31, which is exactly the same. Herald Tech at Gear Tier 17, they basically needed you to build Pegasus. You didn't really have a choice, right? Mind you, Kestro's a strong addition there, but this is one slightly changing. We had a broad X-Men tag at Gear Tier 17, and this was kind of featuring the Extreme at that time as well. So I mean, this could very well change maybe to, featuring more of the Extreme X-Men previously performed. Maybe we're looking at Hive Mind. Maybe we're looking at, the newer teams that have come about. Maybe Cabal, who knows, right? At the end of the day, we won't have that information just yet. Legendary being a very broad and strong tag at 35 to 37 as well. Gear Tier 18. For sure, I see these last two changing because Villain Bio, Legendary specifically focused in on some of those characters, especially they were trying to drive home the Hive Mind for Villain Bio, right? So that's why definitely these ones will likely change, maybe even featuring more of like the newer teams that we saw in Out of Time, Cabal. That's something to be mindful of. But again, don't invest in anything yet, guys, because I'm just trying to point out that this is all likely going to change. It's really the first 20 cells that I have some pretty strong confidence that they probably won't change too much, just because they want that entry, giving players autonomy to try to get some resources and be engaged in this fun game mode. So guys, last but not least, I just want to leave you with some considerations here. Remember, at the end of the day, you don't have to hit all the way to the level 40, and we'll be discussing the confirmed teams once they're released. But remember what your goals are, right? What are the ultimate rewards at hand? I did not end up getting the 3 Diamond Gambit because I did not want to bring up some characters to Gear Tier 18 specifically for this event. And I don't have any regrets with that because I still maximized the rewards I could at the time. But Cell 1 to 16 is likely going to be newer to mid-game. Cell 17 and 29 is for many endgame folks. Again, being very mindful of those new traits that they're going to be adding. And then finally, Cell 30 to 40 is really the endgame where, you've essentially completed the majority of the PvE content. You're quite competitive in PvP. And we'll see what comes to be. But likely, I think, now that we've reviewed everything, I do believe that there's a strong likelihood that both the Spider Society and as well as Undying are going to be situated probably in cells 20 and 29. I think that makes the most sense. It's the most fair because pushing them any higher from this 30 to 40 range, I think, is a very savage way to encourage them. At least with the bare minimum here at Gear Tier 17, I think that's just overkill. I definitely do think there's a strong likelihood they're coming here. So thankfully, Gear Tier 15 and 16 is going to be that sweet spot if you guys are planning to pre-invest here, if you are planning to use those teams. So hopefully this helps you guys. Again, all speculation, of course, but I find with my analysis videos that we're usually right along the track of what we're expecting with these events and their likelihood. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you agree or disagree, do appreciate your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.